Hello, family. Here's what's happening at The Grove. Be sure to connect with us on all of our social media platforms. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube channels as we strive to deliver new and powerful content to you. Listen, we want to see your beautiful faces. We miss you. Let us know you're watching by doing a virtual check-in. Simply upload a post to Facebook or Instagram and use the hashtag EGBCLive and make sure to tag us at ElmGroveBR. This broadcast is made possible because of your support. Continue to help us connect, grow, and inspire by worshiping through giving. You can give by texting any amount to 225-442-9888 or by visiting our website at elmgrovebr.org. Follow the prompts on the screen for ways to give. Are you or anyone you know in need of prayer? We want to pray for you. Send our pastor a message at information@elmgrovebc.org or on our social media pages. Now, let's get social.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining with us today. If this is your first time worshiping with us, please drop the word connect in the comments section on the screen. If you're sharing with us by way of Facebook, please like and share this video with your family and your friends. If you're sharing with us by way of YouTube, please click the bell and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We hope that something that is said and done here today will be a blessing to you. God bless you and your family, and let us prepare our hearts and minds to join in to the worship experience.
Hey family, this is Pastor Errol Domingue. As you can see, we are wrapping up what we're calling our Golden Saints Parade. This is our celebration to honor and to pay tribute to our foreparents, our ancestors, our elders who paved the way for us, who did for us, who imparted to us over the years. Every year at this time, Sister Janice Stewart and her team, a great team of volunteers, come together to pull together a first-class event so that we can show our appreciation. COVID made it a little bit different, but it is no less high in spirit, no less in first class, as we have shown our honor to those who have gone before us. We certainly appreciate everybody who came out, everybody who drove somebody, everybody who made sure that our Golden Saints were here to celebrate with us. As you can see, we have yard art by Al. We have a portion of the Mike Foster Project providing some wonderful music for us. The volunteers, the team is doing a wonderful job. This is just a great day. We appreciate it all. Thank you to all of you who have supported over the years and continue to do so. COVID couldn't stop us this year, and you better watch out for 2022. Peace. All right, saints. All right, believers. All right, disciples. All right, those of you who just trying to see if this Jesus thing is for real. This is where our worship includes everyone. This is the time that we come together to give to the work of ministry, that which we know God has called us to do. We always say that salvation is free, and you know the rest of it, but the work of ministry takes money. Now, we're continuing to do great work. We are transforming lives in order to bring about social change, starting with the salvation of our sisters and brothers, and then working to make things right. We are right now in the midst of a campaign to assist our sisters and brothers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, teaming with the Friendship Baptist Church, such that we can help those who were severely hit by this recent snowstorm. We are still in the midst of testing our brothers and sisters for COVID-19, still serving meals, still serving our children in this community. I'm just trying to get you to see that your contributions actually go to the work of ministry. And so we're going to ask you, if you are the one that you give electronically, take out your device right now and give your tithe or your offering. If you're the one that you like to drop off your check or mail your contribution in, then we appreciate you for doing that. Whatever your way of giving, just know that God loves a cheerful giver, that God loves the way that you keep making the ministry go, and God is proud of us for not letting COVID-19 stop the work. So let's give from the many blessings that God has given unto us. Well, we're at the preaching moment. And as always, man, I don't take this time lightly. I know that we are literally at a point of life or death in someone's living situation. I know that there's a saint, there's a seeker who is anxiously waiting to hear what God has to say about their lives. And I am humbled in a real way to know that God would use me to declare his good news to anybody who would listen. I thank God for you, that you are the waiting congregation, even in a virtual space, such that we can deliver what God's good news has to say about not just your right now, but about your future. We're at the last Sunday of Black History Month, and we've been using the sermon series theme, This Is Us, and hopefully by now, that you've taken a good look at yourself and taken a good look at us, we whose skin has been kissed by the African sun, to know that we are not what this world tries to make us out to be, but in fact, we are God's holy creation, sanctified and sacred by him. I know that's a lot of church language, but you know how it goes, man, because I know who I am and I know who's walking with me, then it changes the way I present myself and it changes the way I see the world around me. So again, I hope that you've been blessed by this series, This Is Us. I got to be transparent with you, of course, that this series has really brought me through some mental and some emotional difficulties this month. I thank God not only that he shared it with me to share with you, but he ministered to me. And I certainly hope that God has ministered to you as well. I know you didn't come to this point to hear me talk, so let's get into the word. The last sermon, part 4, if you will, of This Is Us. Would you please join me in the book of Psalms, Psalms number 2, verses 7 through 12 call our attention today. Psalms number 2, verses 7 through 12 call our attention today. Man, listen, I need you to go with me and pray for your boy, because this one is so good. I may not make it through to the end, but so pray my strength in the Lord, as the elders say. Psalm number 2, verses 7 through 12. This is the New King James Version. Check it. It says, this is David talking. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance and the ends of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Now, therefore, be wise, O kings, be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him. I don't think you heard me the first time. Check out verses 7 and 8 again. You still have your scriptures open, right? Follow along with me and hear the word yet again. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said to me, you are my son. Put your name right there where it says you. You are my son. Today I have begotten you. Check out verse 8. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance and the ends of the earth for your possession. This is us, part 4. To be sure, sisters and brothers, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we want to articulate it out loud or not, we all search for legitimacy. We all look for the reason, the recognition, the meaning, and even in some cases, the approval behind our very existence. It may play itself out in reasons to brag on ourselves about our material gains. And sometimes it plays itself out in our pointing out the appearance of the humiliation of others because we think it equates to the exaltation of ourselves. Sometimes it plays itself out in the way we think our station and our status makes us who we are. But no matter what it looks like, be assured that we are all in search of legitimacy. Somebody say legitimacy. What is it about us that makes us legal with the systems of this world, with the so-called powers that be, even with popular culture? No matter how small or how large our circle, we all want to be declared legitimate. There's something in us that longs for significance, and we look for it even in the small things. Some of us, we find our significance through the joy of parenting. For some of us, it is through acceptance and acclaim of certain groups. For some of us, it's through our ability to provide benevolence to those that we think are beneath us. For some of us, it's through even what seems like the simple task of checking off a list during our day. At some point and at some level, we all want to feel as if our lives are making a contribution to humanity at whatever level we find ourselves. And don't you get it twisted. Don't close your mind too quickly, because we as God's people, you know, the ones whose skin has been kissed by the African sun, we struggle and we strain for legitimacy against systems that were meant to knock us out, meant to lock us out, and even meant to keep us out. You see, the oligarchs of this world, those who sit at the top of privilege and power, would just as well assume that our lives are illegitimate because it suits their crooked designs and their unholy ambitions. But the word says about us, I don't care what the world says, the word says about us. I don't care what the elites say, the word says about us that we are justified by faith. Did you check that? The scriptures, Romans chapter 5, verse 1 says, therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. So it says to us that we should never be ashamed, nor should we ever be willing to negotiate as it relates to who we are and whose we are. We should never be willing to compromise our created being, our created selves, and our place with our Creator in order to receive or be accepted by any clique, by any group, or by any social circle. In other words, the Mississippi Mass Choir was right about it when they said, God made me who I am. God made me who I am. I'm striving for the best. I'm correcting my flaws along the way. I'm forever learning. I'm slipping and falling sometimes, but I get up every time. God made me who I am. I get it right sometimes. I get it. Is anybody with me? I get it wrong sometimes, but you best believe that I'm in it to win it. God made me who I am. And while I have your attention, we still together. And while I have your attention on this question of legitimacy, I may as well tell you or warn you to beware of those who are caught up in the unhealthy pursuit of significance. You know what they look like. You've seen them before. You know, those who would allow themselves to be imagined and invented and exalted for us as our leaders by the dominant culture, yet global minority. You know the ones, those who position themselves as indispensable when God has shown that he can and he will use the least of his creation to give him glory. You know the one, those who seek the glory that only belongs to God. You've seen them before, that prima donna or that diva who tries to pose as humble, but whose ambitions betray them as selfish and self-serving. Beware and don't follow them. Don't fall for the trick, because they are not really significant or as legitimate as they make themselves out to be. Let's go further. Don't go to sleep, because this is important. See, what is really at work in our text is a variation of what Professor Eddie Glaude calls the revolution of values. Say that with me, a revolution of values. See, Professor Glaude's theory speaks specifically to racial equality, but I would suggest that we must first have such a revolution among ourselves. In other words, Professor Glaude's assertion is that it calls for social change, but I would suggest to you that we can't have social change until we have a change within ourselves. I hope somebody's still praying. See, as Glaude says, we have to break the thoughts, the attitudes, and the behaviors that devalue and belittle us. The scriptures say we must cast down the arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity, into the obedience of Christ. See, we have to break away from the thoughts, the attitudes, the behaviors, and even the relationships that are no longer agreeable to our spiritual, emotional, and intellectual position. And catch this, even our trajectory. Your neighbor missed that one. I got to say it again. It's not just about where I am right now. It's about where I'm going. Are we still together? See, in other words, sometimes we have to take an inventory and consider that what brought us here may not have the capacity or the will to sustain us while we are here. And by the way, it may not be able to accompany us where we're going. Glaude says it this way. Habits can change because we notice that they are out of sync with the task before us. But Paul said it this way, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. See, if you find yourself in a position where it's not what you want it to be, some of us will say, I'm in a jacked up situation right now. Just know that we don't have to remain here. That's all I'm trying to get you to see. We don't have to stay here. We don't have to remain hopeless and hapless. We don't have to remain bitter and miserable. We don't have to remain broken, splintered, and divided within ourselves. We don't have to remain doubtful and unbelieving. God has made us transformative creatures so that we can conquer the challenges of our day. See, we are always in preparation to overcome and to live victoriously in whatever the next phase of our lives may bring. God is always working with us to make us a better version of us. See, every challenge, every blessing, every betrayal, every frustration, every mistake, even the seasons of rest for us are preparing us such that we can overcome, so that we can walk with our chest out, our back straight, our shoulders back, and our heads held high, knowing that God is working all things together for our good. That's why there are some things and some people that you ought to just be over. You know, our young old heads say, I'm over it. And I think I'm preaching to some people right now who can agree with our young old heads and just say, I'm over it. I'm over it. The OJ's backstabbers who smile in your face all the time trying to take your place. I'm over it. You know, that fool that won't wear a mask because they think they fell for the conspiracy theory that COVID-19 is not real. I'm over it. You know, that toxic individual who's always trying to kill your vibe. I'm over it. You know, that user who messed up and let you peep their game. I'm over it. You know, the one that tries to make the unimportant important in order to divert your attention to what is really away from what is really important. I'm over it. You know, that snake that's mad at you because their bite didn't kill you, nor did it stop you. You ought to shout, I'm over it. They can't frustrate you enough. They can't discourage you enough. They can't disappoint you enough to make you quit on what God is doing in your life. And it says, what it says is that we are subject to God's authority, but we are also God's agents and the image bearers of God while we are on this earth. We show the world what God's love looks like. Come closer, because I want you to check the text. We're still together. Look at it again, because if I'm going to remain hermeneutically correct, I'd have to admit to you that this is about the enthronement of a king, more specifically, the enthronement of King David. The text speaks clearly about the shepherd boy who turned warrior, who was anointed and was elevated to king of Israel. But not only so, if you're looking closely and you're reading with your biblical eyes, you also notice that this text is really speaking about our Christ, about Jesus, Mary's son and Joseph's stepson. See, New Testament writers said that Jesus is the Son of God. Did you hear that? The angel told Mary her child would be the Son of God. John the Baptist called him the child of God. Nathanael said he was the Son of God. Martha believed him to be the Son of God. Peter said he's the Son of God at Caesarea Philippi. The centurion at the cross, at the the lynching said he is the Son of God. The demons that Jesus ran across while he walked this earth all called him the Son of God. So this is about the enthronement of David. This is about Jesus, our Christ, our Nubian Redeemer. But this is also about us. Because see, David makes claims concerning the monarchy in Israel and Yahweh's protection thereof. And it's no less obvious that David may be prophesying about Christ's transcendence. But you also have to admit that David represents the we that is the nation of Israel, and Christ, the image of Christ, we represent him as the body of Christ. Did you get that? Let me say it for you again. David, when he was enthroned, was actually the representative of the nation of Israel, the we, Israel. But when we look at the image of the Christ, since Christ has been raised from the dead and has ascended to the right hand of the Father, we now represent the Christ called the body of Christ. Therefore, the text speaks about David, the text speaks about Jesus the Christ, and the text speaks about us. Can I keep going? All right, look at it again, because I want you to see that verse 7 says, you are my son, today I have begotten you. See, it's really telling and it's really assuring that God says that we are his children. That ought to make you feel some type of way in a good way. But the fact is, what is most powerful about this text is that it says, today I have begotten you. If you're taking notes, write it down. If you're not afraid to write in your Bible, underline it. If you need to highlight your electronic version, you need to get that in. I have begotten you. See, what the text says in the original language is that God is our Father. He is the one who has taken responsibility for us. He is the one who took responsibility, who takes the responsibility to make sure that all of our needs are met. He is the one that takes responsibility to make sure that we learn what we need to know. He takes responsibility to make sure that we are protected, that the difficult and the challenging will teach us and not kill us. He is our Father who gives us what we need for the day. He is our Father who forgives us when we are wrong and teaches us how to forgive those who do us wrong. He is our Father who does not lead us into temptation but delivers us from evil. He is, you got it, our Father. And as our Father, God declares that he is the one that brought us forth. You better catch that. As our Father, God declares he's the one who brought us forward. Don't you remember way back in the creation story, Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, it reads, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. God made us and he brought us forth. When we are in his will, we look like God. When we are in his will, we act like God. When we are in his will, we sound like God. When we are in his will, we move like God. We are shaped by God. That's why anybody in their right mind would not call you ugly. Because you are the image, you are made in the image of God. So when they call you ugly, they're calling God ugly. When they call you trash, they're calling God trash. And the last time I checked, God don't make ugly and God don't make trash. Are we still together? Look at the text again. Look at it closely, because verse 8 says, ask me. Underline that. Ask me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance and the ends of the earth for your possession. God said, ask me. See, I know I'm stretching your theology, your thoughts about, and your understanding about God. And I know it takes real faith and real imagination to believe it, but God thinks more of you, thinks more of us than to make us successful in this according to Western capitalist ideology. God thinks more of you than to bless you just enough to remain in the constant cycle of debt, paying bills and paying taxes. God thinks more of you, more of us, than to hook you in a system that is meant to make other people rich off of your skills, off of your needs, and off of your desires. I keep trying to tell us that God's economy is different than the world's economy, because God's economy will never crash and it will never cause us to go into moral bankruptcy. Don't you remember they used to say favor ain't fair? Throw that out of your mind, because favor is the reward for faith and faithfulness. Did you hear me? Favor is God's reward in our lives for faith and faithfulness. I'll preach that one another day. See, I just keep trying to teach us that we can have as much God in our lives as we want. You see, God desires to be both the center and the circumference of the way that we live and move and have our being. Check what God says. God said, ask me. Come to the source of your strength, of your joy, of your peace, of your help and your hope. Ask me. Stop depending on the crumbs from the table of those who want to give you just enough to keep you coming back. God said, ask me. Stop looking at perverted and distorted images of my handiwork that give you a negative sense of yourself, because God knows he put good stuff in you. That's why he said, ask me. I already told you I won't withhold any good thing from you. God said, ask me. I've already told you I'm working all things together for your good. And don't you remember the emotion said, don't ask my neighbor and never ask my friends I hang around. That's why God said, ask me. See, the ones who trust God in a real sense are the ones who know they can call on God. That's why verse 12 reads, blessed are those who put their trust in him. Did you hear that? Blessed are those who put their trust in him. Or the image is those who lean on God. You see, to be blessed means that one is fortunate and one is prosperous and one is favored. I'll say that for you again. If you are blessed, What it says is that you bear the characteristics, that you are fortunate, that you are prosperous, and that you are favored. See, if you're blessed, it says that it's all good. And I know we like to say that in our communities, but do you know that's really a declaration of faith? It's all good. It may not be everything that I want it to be, and I may still be striving to get where I'm going. But before it's all over, and when it gets down to the get down, if you ask me about it, I'll say it's all good because I know that God is still working on my behalf. It's all good. That's fortunate. But when I say I'm prosperous, I don't want you to get it twisted because prosperity is not just about a lot of stuff or the numbers in your bank account or the letters behind your name. Prosperity is a state of mind. Prosperity is the state of operation. See, it says that we can't be stopped. The prosperous one says that you can't talk about me enough to make me stop. It says I'll keep on progressing. I'll keep on pushing no matter what comes my way, no matter what they put in my way. You can't stop me. I'll keep on moving. I won't stop like the hands of times. When it says that I'm favored, are you still with me? It says I am fortunate. It says I am prosperous. It says I am favored. Now, I don't want you to get it messed up because when we say the favor of God, we say I'm approved by God. It says I'm authorized by God. It says, that I've been accepted by God. Yes, and so that means that the approval, that means that the authorization, that means that the acceptance of human beings are not necessary. Yeah, it's nice, but they are not necessary. It's not necessary for getting my needs met. It's not necessary for advancement and promotion. It's not necessary for life and that more abundantly. It's not necessary for justice and equity because only God's favor is necessary to break generational curses. Only God's favor is necessary to leave an inheritance for our children's children. Only God's favor is necessary to turn the hood into the place to be. Only God's favor is necessary to overcome disappointment. Only God's favor is necessary to succeed and grow in spaces where you're not supposed to succeed and grow. Only God's favor is necessary to keep on doing what they said couldn't be done. Well, we got to go. I know that this series has blessed you because it's blessed me. But I'll give you a couple more and bid you the deuces. You see, the ones who lean on God, who depend on God, who don't have, when they don't have the strength that they need. The ones who depend on God. That's the ones who look to Him when they don't have the answer to a perplexing question. The ones who lean on God. That's the ones that count on Him when nothing but a miracle will do. That's the ones. Yes, that's the ones who are fortunate. That's the ones who are prosperous, and that's the ones who are favored. See, here's what I know, because Dr. Angela taught me so. She says, when you lean on God, every now and then you will look up and God is leaning in your direction. I know you knew that's where I was going in the first place. So since we know together, let's go on and close this thing out together. Yes, if you lean on God, God will lean in your direction. Did you hear me? Yes. So that lets you know that what you are doing is working. Did you hear me? When God leans in your direction, it lets you know that your stand for right and righteousness, it's working. When you're trying to give God the glory, it's working. When you take a stand, and your faith is unbreakable and your hope is uncompromising, God wants you to know that it's working. When you are faithful in the valley and just as faithful on the mountaintop, God says it's working, and that's good, and that's a blessing. blessing. But you know what blessed me real good? When I realized that not only is it working, but God is working. Did you hear me? God is working. He's working, recycling evil and turning it into good. God is working, transforming enemies and turning them into our footstools. God is working, calling into reality what eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, nor has entered into the heart of humans. God is working, calling those things that be not as though they already were. God is working, transforming us by the renewing of our minds. God is working, securing and providing for the provision of the vision. God is working, saving our whole being, mind, body, and soul. God is working, healing broken places, strengthening weak places, and ensuring our vulnerable places. God is working, and because He is, we can say, this is us. Now listen, after hearing the message, participating in the praise and worship, lifting prayers unto the Lord, this is your time. Come on, brother. Come closer, sister. Be man or woman enough to take a stand for yourself and your posterity by giving your life to God today. Why don't you make the decision right now, wherever you are, to trust God, whether you're watching us live or you're watching the replay. Make the decision today to give your life to God. All you have to do is believe this, that God sent His sable African son to this earth to suffer and to die. He allowed Himself to be lynched on the cross. In the church, they say crucified. He died there. In fact, the elder said, hung, bled, and died on that cross so that our sins would be forgiven. Our slate would be wiped clean. You are good with God now. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you did this morning. I don't care what the situation. If you can believe that Jesus died for your sins, it says you good with God. Here it is again. He didn't remain dead. Our faith tells us 3 days later He rose again. So He died to secure our future, and He lives so that we might have life and that more abundantly. Believe it today. Trust God today, and God will make a real difference in your life. If you want to connect through your faith today in Jesus Christ, type connect in that chat box right now. In fact, put it in all caps, connect. And someone from our team will contact you right early, as the elders would say. Secondly, if you're already in relationship with God, but because of what you saw and heard today virtually, let me tell you, man, that it's not even the tip of the iceberg of the real thing. We are about that life here at the Grove and at New Canaan. We want to see people saved, and we want to stand for justice, what is right. We want God to use us to make it right in this world. If you want to connect to something like that, then I ask you to do the same thing. Type connect in the chat box there. Put it in all caps to let us know that you're serious. And then lastly, if you're just in need of prayer, you're already in relationship with God through faith in His Son, Jesus Christ. You already are worshiping and serving where He wants you to be, but you just need some strong people to stand with you in prayer. Man, I'm telling you, our prayer team is praying for you right now. They don't even know you, your name, or your situation. So let's make it more specific. Since they're praying in general now, let's make it more specific. Type connect in that box such that our prayer team can contact you, and you can have strong believers who are touching and agreeing and praying with you. Listen, I appreciate you for being a part of this sermon series and a part of this worship experience. The old preacher taught me, never leave before the benediction. So let me pronounce God's blessings on your life. And now the Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. The Lord lift up his face upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance unto you and give you peace and help and hope and justice and prosperity and good success in your every endeavor. Wherever you are, let the people of God shout, amen. I agree and I say it is so. God bless you. Peace.
What a wonderful message this morning. What a wonderful word today. I pray that you and your family were blessed by this message and that you will have something to feast on throughout the week. Thank you again for joining us. And if you are joining us by way of Facebook, please like and share this video with your family and friends like you always do. And if you're sharing with us by way of YouTube, please click the bell and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for helping us to attain our goal of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and Facebook by clicking, liking, and sharing. You know what to do. You've done it before. And we thank you so much for sowing into our ministry. We know that you will continue to sow into our ministry because we know that you want to help us to continue making divine connections. Thank you again for joining with us today, and may you and your family have an outstanding week. God bless you.